Hello guys, today we will do something new, and that will be a tier list of beginner guitar riffs. I took 10 popular riffs that everyone knows and also made 4 categories: must know, fun to play, harder but rewarding, and good for first ever riff but nothing more. And let's start with the first one. The first riff is Sunshine of Your Love by Cream. Very educational riff because you will know a shape of blues scale after you learn it, and yeah, you will remember it and you will need it for the rest of your guitar life. And also it's a really fun to play riff because it's not too popular so that no one is bored when you play it, but it's also popular enough so that everyone knows it. So it's definitely a must know category. The second riff is Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes, and that one will unfortunately go into good for first ever riff but nothing more category. It's pretty fun to learn it when you start with guitar, and as I said, it's your first ever riff, but I would say you don't get much from it except like a very basic fingers starter technique. And also I think just every beginner plays this riff, so you will also impress no one while playing it, I think. So yeah, maybe too harsh, but for me, good for first ever riff and nothing more category. And now we go to Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. Many people say it's not a beginner riff, and I would partially agree. It's definitely not a first ever riff, but if you play guitar a couple of months, from my point of view, you can start learning this riff. Yeah, maybe you will not play it as good as original, and yeah, when I started playing it after a couple of months learning guitar, maybe I didn't get a nice result in the end, but it was still really fun to play, and I would say it's harder but rewarding category. The fourth riff is Come As You Are by Nirvana. I would put it into must know category because you get a basic finger coordination. It's very good for beginner guitar technique, and also it's a pretty nice and fun riff to play. As I said before with Sunshine of Your Love, it's popular, and it's popular enough so that everyone knows it, but it's not like too popular and not like everyone is bored of it. Smells Like Teen Spirit, the riff by Nirvana, that actually could be very educational because firstly you play power chords, and if you're not familiar with them it could be beneficial for you, and secondly it's a really nice riff to learn some muting and also strumming of like muted power chords, so I would put it into fun to play category. Sweet Child of Mine, I think that's the second riff to put into harder but rewarding category. I also don't think it should be your first ever riff because the picking for the very beginner would be a pretty tough thing, but if you're already more or less familiar with most of the riffs in this list and you play guitar for a couple months, you can try it. If it's too hard for you, it's also okay, but I think when you learn it in the end, it's a pretty fun riff to play. Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. Let's just put it into good for first ever riff but nothing more category. This riff is already a meme. I think, as I said, at the first ever riff or one of the first ever riffs in your life, it could be really beneficial, educational and fun, but after it, I don't think it brings you something. Enter Sandman by Metallica, must know category because everything is here. Firstly, you can try and start to really be familiar with metal guitar, and also there are many techniques that this riff will bring for beginner. Maybe in the beginning it would be a pretty tough one to play, and I don't think it would really sound as fat and nice as you need when you are a beginner, but don't worry, in the future it would sound better, and I think it's a really good idea for beginner to learn this riff. Otherside by Red Hot Chili Peppers, also must know category for me. A very nice melodic line by John Frusciante, very fun to play and very fun to learn, so definitely must know riff for me. The last one is Californication by Red Hot Chili Peppers, a very popular riff And this riff could also be very good if it's your first ever riff, because it's just a couple of notes. So in general, I would put it into fun to play category. That was it for today, guys. If you like this video, then hit subscribe button and have a nice day.